Hi, I'm Terrell Turner, the host of the Law Firms and Finance Show. And today we're going to have an interesting topic about something that so many lawyers have probably experienced and are affected by, and that is the change that needs to happen in the legal industry. Now, a couple of the things that people have talked about changing, in one of the very big ones is the billable hour. Like, how much would that change your firm if that was a drastic transformation? Well, we're going to talk to someone who is really, really championing that move and helping a lot of small law firms. So stay tuned for today's episode. So without further ado, let me bring on my guest, Stephanie Everett. Welcome to the show.
Hey, happy to be here.
Well, it is a pleasure to have you. I have seen some of the awesome things that you've done. Some of our mutual friends, I saw that you had done some stuff with Jordan Ostroff and his team. So it is an honor to have you on the show.
Well, I'm excited to be here and to talk to you and your community. So let's jump in.
Absolutely. So, before we jump into the details about, like I said, the ways that you're working to help, law firms and just your mission on really transforming the industry, can you tell us a little bit about your background and kind of how you came to, being the CEO of Lawyerist?
Yeah. So I'm a lawyer. Started out like most people, had no idea in law school if you said this is what I'd be doing, I would have thought you are crazy. So, when I left law school, I jumped to a big firm. From there, had the opportunity to start my own practice and did so. I was the managing partner of our firm. We started just me and a partner. We brought one legal assistant with us. And in just under 7 years, we had grown it to about a team of 20. And it was around that time that colleagues started coming to me saying, "How did you do this? How did you grow your firm? What are you doing differently that I'm still struggling with?" And that's where I really saw the opportunity to help lawyers in a different way. Like as a profession, we were struggling. Nobody taught us this stuff. We didn't go to law school to learn about business. And I really was interested and I loved the business piece of running a firm. So I just dug in. I got certified as a coach, started working with lawyers on helping them build their business. Eventually met the Lawyerist folks and they said, "Hey, come do this with us." And then I always joke that I've been with the team just over maybe 6 years now, but my titles changed like 15 times until eventually it was the CEO and I ran the thing. That's what
Well,
happens.
definitely. Well, congratulations on being the CEO. Now, how long have you been in the CEO role?
2 years.
Okay, congratulations. So, I mean, how much different have things been from the role that you had before and now being in the CEO role?
Yeah, great question. I mean, I really have to practice what I teach to the lawyers. And one of the things I talk about a lot with lawyers that I work with is at some point as your team grows, you go like when you started, you probably were primarily responsible for making sure your clients are happy. And that's where I started, right? Like I was the coach and I was building our coaching program and working with lawyers. And so I connected with each of our clients individually all the time. Now my role has shifted where I still see our clients for sure, but now my main priority is making sure that my team is well equipped and trained and mentored so that they can provide those services that I used to provide directly to our clients. And so it's a great example. And I think lawyers struggle with that, right? They struggle with that transition of, but the client's used to connecting with me. And so maybe I've gone through some of those same struggles and mental transitions. And it's like, yeah, but now I have this whole team of amazing people. So my job is to support them, build the systems and the processes they need so they can go and do what I used to do, but even better than me.
Gotcha. I'm curious to get your thoughts on this because I mean, this is something that personally I've experienced in just from leading an accounting practice of, when you shift from being the one who's working, hand in hand with all the clients to being more of the CEO of the business. It's like I didn't recognize that it was going to be an emotional shift there of just like how much I like, man, this is like a new feeling of having to figure out what do I do now. So I'm curious for you, was that did that play any experience for you?
Of course, like, I'd be silly to say it doesn't. There are times where I think, "What's my value now? Like, what do I do?" Right? Like, it's you're like, "Wait, my whole career." I mean, in the one sense, like, I practiced law, and then I had to run the legal business. Now I was the business coach, and now I'm running a coaching business, and so you do kind of go through these identity shifts where you think, "Where is my highest and best value?" And I love coaching. So I tell everybody on the team, I would never give that up. And I always want to have some part of my job be working with our clients because that's what I love to do. But there are times where I'm like, okay, what else should I be doing? And I have to remind myself that having calls with our team, creating trainings for our team, creating the systems, coming up with new programs, like the work that I'm doing really is the work I should be doing. But I think I have that conversation with myself, I mean, probably a lot more often than I should. But, like, let's just admit it, like, that is something we struggle with because it is a huge shift in how we have to approach our business for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I was talking to someone about, what do I do now as a CEO? And I'm like, at first it seemed like this very vague thing of like, my job is to help the business grow and to help the business move forward. And just like, there's a ton of different things that can fall under that bucket. And I
Yeah.
think it's just, figuring that out now. I'm curious as, you've shifted from different roles within the organization. How have the coaches and the other members of the team, how have they adapted as you've shifted?
Yeah, I think they're great. I think I continue to bring in really awesome people. And so if I've done anything well, it's hiring people who are better at this than me. And that's also hard to say, right? Like that's a thing I have to admit. Like the coaches I just hired, I'm like, you guys got this. Like you don't need me. You're great. And if anything, I need to stay open and listen and learn from you and figure out how I can support you better and how we can untap that knowledge and expertise they have for the whole community. So I don't think the team, I mean, maybe the team has shifted and I just forget because it's happened so organically and how my role has changed. I will say maybe a different nuanced struggle that I have experienced, and I also see the lawyers I work with shift, and that's around being a hard worker. And let me tell you what I mean there. I just had this conversation with my 12-year-old where I said, "Your mom, like I may not have ever been the smartest person in the room, but I was for sure the hardest worker." And same thing, when I practiced law, I was going to outwork my opponents. I was going to do more research, be more prepared. Like, I bring this incredible work ethic to everything I do. I don't know how not to be all in. And I think when you start a business, a lot of us bring that same work ethic, right? Like, I'm going to work hard. And if I just work really hard and focus on this business, I can build this business and I can do all the things. And the reality is that mentality it holds us back because at some point when you're the entrepreneur, you can't wear 15 hats. You can't do all the things. And you have to figure out which roles you need to delegate and how to effectively use a team so that you can free your space, your brain, your mind, your time up to do the bigger picture, harder things. And that's a real shift for a lot of people that we struggle with. And I think that's why we see so many, especially like small entrepreneurs, really struggle with overwhelm. They come to me and they just say, I'm doing too many things, or they don't even realize they're doing too many things. They're just like, I'm just lost. I'm struggling. And I'm like, yeah, because you're trying to do 15 jobs and you can't do that anymore. And they don't want to, and it's hard to let go. So I think that's a big challenge that we all have to really focus on and figure out that it's okay to let go and how do you delegate, what do you delegate off your plate and to do it effectively is something we all struggle with.
Now staying in that same kind of, area of conversation, one of the things that I hear a lot of people struggling with is, you know, is, not feeling comfortable enough to be able to hand stuff off. Now, you mentioned about like to having great coaches, having, a team. Now, from what I've observed about, you know, businesses that are specialized in coaching, a lot of times like their coaches may not be there full time, like their coaches may be on contract. So I guess how does the dynamic of like the coaches and the people that are on the team, are they employees, are they contractors?
Yeah. We, like many, probably we started with contractors because we were trying to be financially ready to have a team. And I'm so happy to report now that the vast majority of our coaches are full-time employees. So this is their focus, and this is really, what where their energy is every day. That said, I also want to bring in experts to our team. So if there's skill sets that are really specialized, finances is a great example, right? Like um, we're great business coaches, but sometimes some of the coaches feel a little lost with the numbers. Not, like, or they just say, well, yes, I can help you. But so we have financial coaches that we can bring in, and those people have their own businesses. So they just come in and help our community, and that's more of a contract role. Or if I feel like I need really specialized expertise, and maybe I don't need them all the time, but they're going to come in and be available to us when we need it, that's how we're using contractors. But everybody else is really full-time on the team.
Okay, awesome. So can you tell me a little bit more about like the different types of coaches that you have, or the different types of coaching offerings that are available?
Yeah, great question. I think we probably should we call it coaching because I don't know, that's the word the industry uses, but really if we think about it, we're probably wearing coach slash consultant slash trainer hats. And sometimes it's all in one in the same call. And here's what I mean about that. If anyone out there is listening and they've worked with a coach before, a traditional coaching relationship starts with the premise that you have the answers inside of you. Like if you're making a major life decision, or maybe you're trying to decide if you should partner with somebody, you probably know instinctively what you want. And my job as a coach is to ask you the right questions and lead you down a path so that you can discover which way you should go. It's not for me to say if you should break up with your business partner or align with a new business partner. Like, I just can't do that, but I can help you come to that decision and conclusion, and I can support you on that. So that's a great example of where we wear our coach hat. Here at Lawyerist, we also talk about what we do with lawyers is really more of a consulting or training role. If somebody comes to me and they're stuck getting clients, they're struggling, they need some new marketing channels opened up for them, they don't need me to necessarily ask them a whole bunch of questions to discover what life journey they should take on their marketing journey. They might not understand, hey, here's how a typical marketing funnel works, and this is how you could build one. So again, in that case, what we do is say, all right, let's figure out there's still some questions we're going to ask. Who's your ideal client? Where does that person go for help and information? And then let's put together a marketing plan that's going to allow you to get those results and get your message in front of the right people at the right time so they can make a decision and ultimately hire you. So, probably it's more accurate to say that we do a combination of coaching and consulting and teaching because we just want to help our clients with their business, whatever that looks like.
Nice. Now, I'm curious for the clients that you guys are working with, since there are different types of coaching, consulting, support, and teaching support that you provide. Do a lot of How does that usually work for clients? Do they come in and like, hey, here's a roadmap, or do they get a personalized assessment, or how does that usually work?
Yeah, it's like what you said. So some people come in, they have a real clear idea, they know what they want to focus on, and we're adaptive to that. And we're like, yeah, let's go. A lot of people think they have an idea, but we really want to make sure. So ideally we start everyone with our foundation work. We want to make sure you're really clear on what is this thing you're trying to build? Is this business that you're setting up going to allow you to fulfill your personal goals with your life? Like, I have a lot of lawyers who come to me and they're like, I want to spend my summer in Italy and run my law firm from there. And I'm like, great, I love it. And we've had people do this. So let's make sure we're establishing a business that's one day going to allow you to do that. And not one day like 10 years from now, but like 18 months from now. Can we do that? Absolutely. So we want to discover and really figure out, what is it you're trying to build? Where are you getting stuck? And what are your goals? And once we have that framework and we understand it, now we can start creating those initiatives and that plan of, okay, here are the things you need to work on over this amount of time to get where you want to be.
Nice. I always love the milestone approach, because I feel like sometimes having when a goal is too big, people tend to just not take action at all.
Yeah, I know. I tell everyone like and also one of the things I love telling people is, you can do anything, you just can't do everything, not at once, right? So people will come to me and they'll be like, "We want to work on these 20 initiatives." And I'm like, "All right, let's pick 2. Let's pick 2 for the next 90 days and actually get those done. And then we can pick 2 or 3 more. And then, over a year's time, you're going to have so much more accomplished than if you try to set out to do 20 things. Most likely you'll do none."
Gotcha. Now, I guess as the CEO of the company, I mean, do you set the kind of what? Hey, here are the initiatives company wide, or is there a board that you kind of work with, or an advisory team?
Sort of all the above for sure. We do have a board for the company and I sit on that board. I'm also on our teams, so we have a leadership team and we're running in quarterly cycles. So like many people, we just feel like 90 days is a good amount of time as we think about our business. So every 90 days we're having planning sessions where I've experimented with it a lot of different ways, and what's working right now is I have different subsets of the team. So, the marketing team, for example, will meet and have a planning session and decide on those 90-day initiatives and what we need to do to hit our goals. So, I might be more heavily involved in setting the overall goals for the year or the quarter, but then I want to bring the team in and get them involved and get their ideas. Like I said, I'm not necessarily the smartest person in the room. I just work really hard. So I want to make sure I'm tapping into the talent and knowledge of everyone on this amazing team. So we'll have a planning session and it's kind of broken down. It makes sense on our team how we meet and then we establish those priorities and initiatives together. And then I'm a big fan of accountability. So we don't leave that meeting until we know exactly who on the team's going to be accountable for each initiative. That doesn't mean they have to do all the work. It just means I'm going to come to them and say, where are we on this? And if it's not moving forward, why? And so we have clear deadlines and then we have those milestones so everybody knows exactly what's expected of them.
Awesome. I love it. Now, what I'm also curious about is if people are interested in, reaching out like, hey, I want to find out more about lawyers and, how I can work with them. Where's a good place for them to look for you online?
Yeah, just head over to lawyerist.com. That's our website. There's so much information on there. We've really built it out to have a ton of free resources. You can see all of our guides, everything from our complete guide on how to price your services to our complete guide on how to hire somebody. We also have review pages. So if you're thinking about getting a new piece of technology or hiring some services for your firm, you can go there and check out. We have reviews that our team has written and also reviews from the community. So it's a great place, really, for anything you're doing to think about building your healthy business. Just start there and just dive in. I'd say dive into some of our free content. And you'll get a really clear sense very quickly of who we are and what we believe in, and if that's a good fit for you.
Awesome. Well, before we wrap up, one final question I love asking every guest, so we've talked about several, amazing topics. And so let's say you're sitting down having dinner with someone and you're telling them like, "Hey, I was on the Law Firm and Finance show with Terrell Turner and you should go listen to my episode. And hey, here are 2 big takeaways you should listen for in that conversation." What would your 2 big takeaways be?
Yeah, number 1 is where should you be spending your time differently? If you're the owner of the business or you're a leader in your firm, Are you getting yourself trapped into tasks that are taking up time and mental energy that shouldn't be, that you could easily delegate to someone else? Because I want to free up your time and your energy to do those things that only you can do and to really work on your business. So that would be maybe takeaway number one. And then takeaway number two, and this is just from the things we talked about, right?
Or if you want to add something new, that would be great too.
Maybe it's this. Maybe I'll do a little bit something new. Don't be afraid to experiment. One of the reasons we call our coaching program Lawyerist Lab is because the lab is where you go to run tests and to experiment and to see what works and what doesn't. And I think sometimes, and the other thing I love about in lab, um, if a scientist runs an experiment, it doesn't go the way they expected, they've just now eliminated something. Like they don't see it as success failure. They're just like, okay, now I got to try it slightly different and see if I get a different result. And I think too many times business owners, we and lawyers especially, we're really hard on ourselves and we say, "Oh, that was a failure." Well, maybe the way you did it this time didn't quite give you the result you expected, but what could we change? What could we do a little bit differently next time and maybe get a different result? So I'm all about 1% better. If you could just focus on getting 1% better this week or this month, I guarantee you, you will knock it out of the park and you'll make so much more progress. So don't give yourself a hard time, give yourself a break and focus on where's that 1%.
Awesome. I love it. Well, Stephanie, thank you so much for coming on and being an amazing guest.
Thank you for having me.